combat is not dangerous.
Okay.
Most of the accidents of fighter planes happen in rejoin and regroup.
Oh.
And that is why we say, and like in anything you do, that a job is not done till it is done. Landing on a carrier on a dark night, that is one of the hardest things to do in the world.
So when you were passing out of academy, जैसे एनडीए में होता है ना सर कि you can जैसे जैसे आपका टर्म when you become senior आप एयरफोर्स चूज करते हो या based on your merit. तो एविएशन once I think जब हम पास आउट होते हैं उसके बाद you opt for the aviation branch, no? नेवी में.
Yeah. So, it is much
जैसे
later.
naval
Much later as sub-lieutenants.
हाँ as sub
So, there's
lieutenant.
an age limit of 25 years.
Correct.
उससे पहले कहीं बीच में वो सिग्नल आता है IG.
हाँ correct.
IG कहते थे ना.
Yeah, IG कहते थे.
General.
Yes.
Information general. But I'll just like to go back to that point that Naval Academy was more challenging and complex because of the different types of entries.
Correct.
One is the ex-regular course going on.
Yes.
Then there are people coming for GSES, graduate special entry scheme. Then
Then
acting
the
sub-lieutenants,
technical
short service
entry,
commission.
short
Then
service.
the ladies also came.
Correct.
है format अलग है लेकिन treatment same मिल रही है.
Treatment same
Which
मिल
is not correct because I remember as a second termer when I am 19 out of school 6 months.
Correct.
18 or 18 now 19. One acting sub-lieutenant who is they're married.
Married, yeah.
But he's my junior, so the language we use is not even.
Yeah, I know, sir.
You can't even get it on camera. So, but you have that kind of power. And so a lot of people used to leave also because
I remember,
the shock effect is very. They have come from a different life and they have seen enough life to see that this doesn't.
Exactly.
This is not required at all. At that point, but otherwise, you are asking about aviation. It's after commission, and then you have these IGs coming. Now the procedure has changed. They are direct entries also. Earlier also they were there in between when Navy required. Then it stopped. Then it's again there because in my squadron I used to have short service commission officers and fighter stream also.
Achha, fighter stream also.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And then they have the option. There is a provision to convert to permanent commission, and I have seen some very damn good SSC officers. मतलब in 4 months वो मतलब कुछ तो है कि फौजी बैकग्राउंड से थे, कुछ है कि जिन्होंने अच्छा been trained well, very upright and nice smart officers, good flyers. Overall मतलब you'd say कि ये he deserves to stay. So some get their permanent commission, some do not opt for it.
Correct.
But yes, now there's direct. Otherwise, we used to have this IG. Then you go to Safna, Niyat, and there's a board. Wherever the merit list is made, and then based on vacancy. Sometimes, like my postmate and brother-in-law, he's also an aviator.
अच्छा, postmate and brother-in-law. Same अपना ही story है sir. मेरा भी batchmate and brother-in-law है.
अच्छा, okay. So he joined flying, but like he was on the ship, the CEO, commanding officer did not spare him, or there was a requirement. So it's not like he didn't send. So sometimes there are other pressures कि service requirement. अब उस seniority में या उस level पे कुछ तुम्हारा इतना ज़्यादा तो responsibility नहीं है, but है ship की requirement है या commanding officer is anti-aviation or whatever, I don't know. There are, I won't say anything controversial on that, but कि नहीं मिलता मौका, so then he came in the next batch. So, but yes, there's an IG, you can apply for it. Correct. The names, then they call everybody and they have a viva. And it's about aviation subject, then they make a merit. उसमें जो वैकेंसी होती है उसमें ऊपर के 8 या 10 जितने नेवी के होते हैं. बिगेस्ट चैलेंज वही है सर, जैसे बताया, जैसे एयरएल का, जैसे आप लोग को फॉर एग्जीक्यूटिव ब्रांच के लिए आता है फॉर एविएशन, वी गेट फॉर एयरएल एंड एयर ई. तो सबका बड़ा वही हंगामा होता है कि व्हाई यू वांट टू गो देयर, नहीं छोड़ेंगे, नहीं स्पेयर करेंगे. some really मतलब some arguments were like at that age seniority for a person to say to youngster, मतलब I can also look through that, sir, you could not make it through your PABT. I understand. So but that is very far and few. It's exceptional. Otherwise, people generally opt doesn't mean yes, because it has that, like I say, very few jobs in the world which have a wow factor. True. So that every youngster wants to at least give it a try, but it's not like it's there in the
service. Like you might want to think that an organization is very unified. No, every organization has branches, and every branch, you go to the corporate world, in comedy also, and everywhere there are different branches, and every branch will have some kind of, because you have to have your moral high, so you have to uphold your branch. So it's not like you're showing somebody else down, but that is the way you keep your spirits up.
So आप लोग where do you आपकी training कहाँ हुई थी for the
मेरी for Navy,
for the fighter pilot?
for flying. So after we did our when we got selected, then you have a PFTC, pre-flying training, conducted in the same in Southern Naval Command, and from there then you're on ships. So I remember I was posted on Virat
अच्छा, you are posted on Virat
as a watchkeeping officer,
हाँ.
and I knew that I'm going for flying. So I remember Admiral Damle was then commanding officer of Virat, and किसी से मिला नहीं, एक आध मैंने वॉच करी होगी, शुरू होने से पहले ही मेरे को पता था जाना है, तो मैं नॉर्मली गायब ही रहता था, जूनियर ऑफिसर्स मैच से देखता था, सीओ गया, नेक्स्ट मैं जाता था गैंगवे से, आई एम नॉट मेड फॉर दिस, आई एम नॉट मेड, आई एम गोइंग फॉर फ्लाइंग. So then from there we went for flying. Basic stage was in Airforce Academy.
Okay.
6 months basic stage, and thereafter 6 months in Bidar.
Okay.
Airforce Station Bidar, which is the advanced stage. And after that you get your wings. And then the trifurcation happens. So there are 2 seats in the Navy. There used to be 2 seats for fighters, then a few seats for MR, which is fixed wing or transport in the Air Force, but in the Navy we don't call it transport because it is more to do with systems, and it is maritime reconnaissance. And then the rest would be in choppers. So it was, because the requirement was such.
Correct.
So I'm not saying that Navy fighter pilots, but क्या है कि अभी उतनी ही seats हैं, so straight away stakes become high. And so after that, when you have to give your choice finally, and I was doing well. I was best in flying in my basic stage. I was best in flying in my advanced stage. So I was confident that I'll get my choice, but seniority भी आ जाती है, because I was not the senior most. My course, flying course, had officers from 2 to 3 courses above me.
अच्छा.
So you are never sure what will happen, and so finally, but you have to make that choice. अभी खबरों में आ रहा है कि MiG-29 के आ रहा है.
Okay.
लेकिन कब आ रहा है, क्यों आ रहा है, काफी टाइम से चल रही है बात. अभी you are also 99, so I was like commissioned for 2 years now, plus training. So you have heard, but you don't know. And Sea Harriers are there, but कह रहे हैं कि कम है, because you don't have you have never been to a naval air base. You have not even know कि naval aviation क्या है. But जैसे मैं विराट पे था, I was on watch with another officer who was from the surface navy. He gave some information, so it was half-baked information. But then I had to decide. So my decision was based on a very, very immature argument.
Okay.
It was so stupid that चलो बोल देते हैं कि tomorrow, ठीक है, people say MR is better, life is more stable, whatever, जो भी argument है, and आगे जाके उड़ाने को नहीं मिलेगा, हैरियर बंद हो जाएंगे, मिग आएंगे नहीं, तो करोगे क्या तुम. तो मैं यही मेरा पूरा आर्ग्यूमेंट था कि tomorrow, if as a young pilot I go and meet somebody, and there's a mutual, like Bijay, you are also pilot, I am also pilot, you are a MiG-21 pilot from the Air Force, or you are a naval fighter pilot, and I am a Dornier pilot. तो जब shake hands करेंगे, so what do you fly? You will say MiG-21 और मैं बोलूँगा Dornier, मेरी जल जाएगी. On this very basic stupid thought, when I have the choice, I will opt to become a fighter pilot. I came all this way, now I will not calculate कि aircraft है कि नहीं. I wanted to become one. Whatever planes are there for offer, I will fly them. And if Kiran is what I fly, because Kirans were still there, and that is the last plane that I fly, I am happy. But I'll at least call myself a fighter pilot.
Fighter pilot.
Which I was pseudo fighter piloting, But yes, so that kind of that is immaturity, I will confess. But anyway, too much calculations never take you anywhere.
Correct. But how's the life of a trainee fighter pilot? मैं पहले trainee fighter pilot. How tough it is?
It is. That's
पढ़ाई वढ़ाई बहुत करना पड़ता है.
Padai, there's equal amount of padai also. Like From there, then you go to Hakimpet, which is the fighter training wing of the Air Force. Again, basic single jets, but you do some maneuvers and you get to learn. So, flying में, especially military flying, गोटा घाटी बहुत है. It's, you know, there's everything has to be by rote. The basic pass percentage of your must know things is 90%. इंस्ट्रक्टर बोलता है 98%. वो बताता नहीं 90 है. तो 98% मतलब आई रिमेम्बर कि हम इतना लिखते थे. They were not imposition, they were just practice. Like your checks, procedures, emergencies, by number, by word, comma, colon, everything. You would write, and I would write endlessly कि checklist है from start to starting the aircraft to switching off. मतलब अभी भी मेरे पास वो पढ़ी हुई किताबें, बस वही चीज़ लिखी हुई है कि बाद टर टर लिखे जा रहे हैं and वो एकदम it's in the मतलब in your blood now. And कभी 97 आ गया, अब यार 97 है यार,
ओ तेरी
not done, मतलब कि मतलब I have not performed well. 90% was क्योंकि emergencies you need that kind of, but बताते नहीं थे हमें 90 है, तो हम 98 के हिसाब से चलते थे हर चीज़ में. And you would go into the, एक होता है must know, एक हम nice to know पे चलते थे. मतलब
ओके
कि अभी कल एग्जाम है, जैसे जो नेवी वाले स्पेशली थोड़े ज़्यादा पढ़ाकू होते हैं, तो हमारे साथ फ्लाइट कैडेट्स हैं, तो ना बात हो रही है कि लिमिटेशन ऑफ एयरक्राफ्ट, यू वांट टू नो इंजन का क्या लिमिटेशन है, आरपीएम, ईजीटी या टेम्परेचर, ये वो. हम ना वो पीछे जो 2 बोल्ट है ना उनका, उसमें वहाँ पे कौन सा वाला माइक्रोवेव कुछ लगा है, कुछ सीबी लगा है, सीबी का नाम क्या है, कितने एम्पेयर आवर का है, नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, क्योंकि ये तो सब पढ़ लिया हमने. हम अभी 5% के लिए पढ़ रहे हैं अभी, जो 5% नाइस टू नो. सो दैट वाज द यू नो एनर्जी एंड लेवल की, कुछ ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए कि जो मेरे को नहीं पता. सो यू हैव दैट. बट अगर इज फ्लाइंग वाइज, that stage is also quite okay. After that, then you go for the MiG phase, and then the whole, you know, it is good and bad in a way. I don't know about the Moftu होता था नॉर्थ ईस्ट में, जहाँ पे होती है, but I was not fit for that variant of MiG type 77 because that has capsule ejection.
Okay.
So when you eject, the seat moves, the canopy does not move. The canopy stays and it gets on the railing of, so it basically protects you from the what do you call it, the airflow. And आगे जाके एक सीक्वेंस में निकलेगा. So seat height was very important because if your seating height is more, then you will touch the canopy and you will get compressed. You will have compression injuries. So उसमें वो ले जाते हैं आपको बिठा के ना, ऐसे प्रेशर डालते हैं ऊपर. You have to show it by finger कि कितना प्रेशर लग रहा है. तो उसमें 3 या 4 कुछ हो तो मतलब not fit.
Oh.
So then type 75 and type 96 are the other variants which were in the western sector. So I flew the type 75 with 32 squadron in Jodhpur.
But first time कैसे लगा था सर फ्लाई करने एज अ,
Just
पहली बार जब गए थे ना अंदर?
पहली बार जो फर्स्ट ab initio बेसिक,
हाँ ab initio,
कुछ नहीं लगा.
ऊपर साथ
काफी
में कोई
टाइम तक नहीं लगा.
कोई साथ में
हाँ,
जो बंदा
इंस्ट्रक्टर, तब तो सिमुलेटर भी नहीं थे ना. तब तो हमारा होता था ऐसे कॉकपिट लेआउट का एक मिलता है, वो भी ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट जेरोक्स के 3 कागज होते हैं, उसका जो आपके मेन इंस्ट्रूमेंट पैनल के उसका जेरोक्स होता है, वो ऐसे लगाओ, और अपना स्कॉच रैकेट होता था, अपना स्टिक, और यू आर सपोज्ड टू प्रैक्टिस. सो दैट इज वेयर आई यू नो व्हेन आई वाज एन इंस्ट्रक्टर आल्सो आई हैड टू टेल माय पीपल व्हाट यू हैव टू मेक थिंग्स इंटरेस्टिंग. अभी मतलब some people found it very tough, but I was to always make you try and find how you can make it interesting. So मैं तो मेरा cockpit होता था, I used to treat it as a cockpit. वो वाला सेटअप चेंज नहीं होगा. यहाँ पे कुछ और तब होते नहीं थे, व्हाइट बोर्ड्स ही नहीं होते थे, तो एक वो जो फिल्म्स ही नहीं होती ट्रांसपेरेंसी, उसमें व्हाइट पेज डाला, उसको लगा दिया, चाइना ग्राफ पेंसिल, तो यहाँ पे जहाँ पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम हुई वहीं पे लिख दिया कि मैंने ठीक नहीं किया है. तो ये मेरा हो गया लैपटॉप, मतलब मैकेनिकल लैपटॉप. ये जो मेरे इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स है उसको खुद ही स्केच पेन से कुछ उसको अच्छी तरह और डेकोरेट कर दिया. दैट स्कॉच रैकेट वाज ओनली फॉर, और जब वो जाऊंगा उधर तो ऐसा एनवायरनमेंट बनाऊंगा कि मैं भी फ्लाइट के लिए जा रहा हूँ, तो स्टॉप वॉच रखी है, ये है, म्यूजिक है, जो भी करना है, तो मेक अ ह्यूज इशू ऑफ इट कि ये मेरा प्रोजेक्ट. लाइक एग्जाम्स आल्सो, व्हेनेवर आई यूज्ड टू प्रिपेयर फॉर एग्जाम्स बोथ इन स्कूल एंड इन मतलब इन द नेवी आल्सो, गिव इट अ नेम, ऑपरेशन सफेद सागर. है ना, उसका ऑपरेशन, उसमें क्या क्या, ये मिशन 1 मिशन 2 सब्जेक्ट्स को आई यूज्ड टू ट्रीट देम एज अ मिशन कि ये वाला चैप्टर खत्म करना है, इसके बाद एक चाय ब्रेक।
तो बचपन से ही कीड़ा था ना,
मतलब कुछ ना कुछ करते रहो, कुछ उसको ऑपरेशन बना दो, उसमें कुछ कलर शलर दिखा दो, एंड दे हैव स्मॉल रिवॉर्ड्स फॉर योरसेल्फ। कंप्लीट कभी नहीं होता, फाइनली ऑपरेशन इज अनसक्सेसफुल, बट देन काफी कुछ काट लेते हो, काफी कुछ कर भी लेते हो इन उस चक्कर में। तो बट एयरक्राफ्ट में लाइक यू सेड, आफ्टर लॉन्ग टाइम आई रियलाइज कि आई एम फ्लाइंग, you don't even get to know that you're flying, क्योंकि वो जब बेसिक स्टेज में, तो I remember my instructor was very nice, he was one of the finest, most cool headed person, और मैं अपनी तरह से मेहनत करता था, वो ज़्यादा कुछ बात होती नहीं थी हमारी। वो 2-3 फ्लाइट के बाद वो चले गए, कुछ उन्होंने एक आध दिन की छुट्टी ली, कोई दूसरे इंस्ट्रक्टर के साथ मेरे लगी, और रनिंग चेंज होता है कि जहाज आया, एक निकलेगा दूसरा बैठेगा, इंजन चल रहा है, मैं बैठा, मैंने ऐसे पहना जैसे ही, वो जो माँ बहन सारे रिलेशन आ गए उसमें, तो उस फ्लाइट में, मतलब मैं अभी आदत नहीं है, मैं 3-4 दिन से, हाँ बेटा ये वो बेटा बुटा चल रहा है, और यहाँ पे तो मतलब गुंडागर्दी हो रही, तो he didn't hit but he would shout, there's some instructor like वो मतलब ये लाल होगा, और इधर लगा तो ये लगेगा, हाँ काफी मतलब हाथ पैर चलते थे लोगों के, मेरे भी चलते थे जब मैं इंस्ट्रक्टर था थोड़े बहुत, बट सो नाउ दिस वाज, अभी हम टैक्सी कर रहे हैं, अभी मैं जहां मैं सांस लूं तो बहुत जोर की आवाज, तो उसके बाद मैं चुप ही नहीं हुआ, मैं बोलने का मतलब, तो जो भी है हाइट स्पीड डायरेक्शन आरपीएम, बस बोलते ही चलना, जहां जहां मैं ऐसे करूं मतलब इतने से ब्रेक में भी, so it happens, that's why I say I'm a cat instructor myself, I have taught how to teach,
okay,
and I don't consider myself as the best trainer or an instructor, because I think क्योंकि इंस्ट्रक्टर, फ्लाइंग इंस्ट्रक्टर और टीचर थोड़ा सा अलग है जॉब, क्योंकि क्लासरूम में मामला अलग होता है, हवाई जहाज में थोड़ा नहीं ज़्यादा ही अलग होता है, सो आई थिंक आई हैव लर्न द मैक्सिमम फ्रॉम लाइन पायलट्स,
okay,
जो इंस्ट्रक्टर नहीं है लाइन पे फ्लाई करता है, क्योंकि उसको मालूम है, और उसमें है एक एट्रीब्यूट, वो है पेशेंस। So greatest attribute of a flying instructor is patience. Because as they taught us in the flying instructor school of Airforce in Airforce Station Tamram, kind of funny because you usme abhi again there is there's something called the patter, which is basically again as an instructor you have to give a demo flight where you talk while you fly.
okay,
And whatever you are saying should match with what the plane is doing.
okay,
So for example, like if you've just come in the plane, we're like, hi Vijay, so first of all you'll teach him how to sit in the plane, and then today I shall teach you how to taxi the plane. Taxiing the aircraft is basically moving the aircraft, propelling the aircraft under its own power, for which first we'll carry out our checks, for which we'll check our canopy, this thing we'll check that, checks भी कर लिए बीच में. Now having done this, are we ready for, तो पूरा ये commentary चलती है पूरी. Okay, first we'll check the area is clear, we'll ask for permission and give an RT call like so. TAR 421, taxi. Okay, clear to taxi. Having got the permission to taxi, now look left, look right, everything is clear. Release the parking brakes, look forward, and while looking at the far end of the taxi line, release the brakes. We'll release the brakes. As the aircraft moves forward, check brakes. Brakes checked, look left, full left under, touch of power, and ये अभी ये शुरू है, अभी तो टैक्सी से निकले, अभी आप रनवे पे जाओगे, लाइन अप, हियर आई लाइन अप, देन आई टेक ऑफ, देन आई, सो एवरीथिंग इज यू आर टॉकिंग,
okay,
एवरी मनूवर, नॉर्मल और अदरवाइज, सम लूप भी कर रहे हो, एरोबैटिक्स भी कर रहे हो, वो भी पूरा बताओगे. लूप इज अ मनूवर, एंड तो उसका है इंट्रो, देन डेमो दिखाना है, देन सम इट अप, इसमें ये मिस्टेक्स होती है, व्हिच आई टीच यू इन द नेक्स्ट फ्लाइट. सो you have to have the gift of gab, or you
Correct.
need to anyways go to it. You can improvise. So what they do is that is basically catering for the weakest link. किसी और को नहीं, we are giving you something, we are teaching you how to teach, and then comes more complex things like fault analysis and how to correct a fault and find out what is going wrong in flying by following controls and stuff. But that is the basics of it, and you do all that. It's a very challenging course from point of view of knowledge. The ground tests are there, and मतलब in flying that was one amazing ride, because one day you feel सब ठीक चल रहा है, next day suddenly because flying program तुम्हारी टेस्ट फ्लाइट भी लगी है, मेजर एग्जाम भी है ग्राउंड, और तुम्हारा साथ में the other activities attributes of our instructor also they teach, like how to conduct an emergency session. An emergency session एक हर स्क्वाड्रन में, मतलब मिलिट्री स्क्वाड्रन, in some form or the other it happens. Like morning you go, the whole squadron will be assembled in the briefing room. One youngster will go on the podium. Now based on the level of the squadron and how tradition और क्या चल रहा है current उसमें, तो हमारे टाइम पे होता था कि one instructor will ask an emergency and you have to answer it and then he will debrief. So इसकी प्रैक्टिस के लिए all student officers, about 80 of us, and then the staff of flying instructor school is sitting behind. One trainee simulates to be the instructor. He will ask the emergency. तो एक दिन पहले सब कौन कल पूछ रहा है उससे पूछेंगे क्या पूछ रहा है तू, ऐसे नहीं पूछ सकता तुम जाके, हम सब we are all in this together. So he will tell you today I will ask low oil pressure. तो पहले उसे बोलेंगे क्यों, ये कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्यों पूछ रहा है, तो पहले वो चलेगी क्योंकि नहीं यार वो क्योंकि लास्ट टाइम सिंपल पूछी थी तो मेरी लग गई थी, तो फिर इमरजेंसी डिसाइड हो गई. सबको मालूम है इमरजेंसी क्या है, ठीक है, किसी को भी बुला सकते हैं लेकिन मालूम है ये पूछेगा, इसको फिर भी पॉइंट्स निकालने हैं. तो इमरजेंसी इज डिसाइडेड, another guy will go and answer it, this guy will debrief him, and after हो गया सब कंप्लीट हो गया साइकिल, नहीं हुआ कंप्लीट, उसके बाद भी यहाँ से पॉइंट्स आएंगे.
अच्छा,
कि ये भी इसमें आफ्टर नोइंग यू नो द इमरजेंसी, यू हैव नो द एक्शंस,
करेक्ट,
सिचुएशन बेस्ड थोड़ा बहुत चेंज होता है बिकॉज यू ऑब्वियसली यू नो फ्लाई, नेविगेट देन कम्युनिकेट. तो एक आध चीज फाइनली when I gave my final test, I gave it with commanding officer of FIS and COFIS because I took a lot of interest in this one trophy which was there, which was called AIT.
Okay.
This airborne instructional technique. Because I really used to put in effort on how to teach and you know in flying maybe when I speak and whatever. So मैंने ये point फिर उनसे discuss भी किया कि you know this whole activity it's more of a public speaking event. So ज़्यादा फटती स्टेज पे खड़े होने से थी. So like in the Navy when we had this, when we were in squadrons, you remember the uniform 8s?
Yeah.
So 8s is uniform in white shorts. So the day of mass briefing जब स्टेशन लेवल पे होता था ये, हमारे स्टेशन में, I will not name the station, and you knew कि आज हमारे स्क्वाड्रन की बारी, तो होल स्टेशन के सामने बेइज्जती हो सकती है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. So डर इमरजेंसी का नहीं, इट्स कि पूरा स्टेशन, यंग ऑफिसर यू आर स्टिल बिल्डिंग अप योर कॉन्फिडेंस. अभी बोल दोगे तो मैं आई हैव अ डिफरेंट लेवल ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस, बट तब थोड़ा यू आर स्टिल यू नो इन द चांस टू फ्लाई द नेक्स्ट प्लेन. एनीथिंग यू डू कैन अफेक्ट योर मेरिट एंड योर रिपोर्ट. तो उस दिन 8s नहीं पहनते थे गलती से भी, क्योंकि जब घुटने हिलेंगे तो दिखेंगे तो पेंट में दिखेगा नहीं. बिकॉज़ पब्लिक आई एम नर्वस अबाउट स्पीकिंग, आई नो द इमरजेंसी, मैं घोट के आया हूँ और बोला आई नो माय नो प्रोफेशनल साइड. सो दैट इज वेयर आई थिंक फौज हैज रियली यू नो what word to use has evolved is with the advent of simulators. So CRA simulator was still there.
Okay.
But I had not flown a simulator till I went for my conversion to the Harriers.
Okay.
किरण का नहीं था, basic HPT नहीं था, बाद में आए. When I went for my flying instructor school, then we had CPT, at least cockpit something trainer कहते थे उसे, fixed based. So the visual is moving, you are fixed. But when you sit in a simulator, then you come to know that you know there are two kinds of emergencies: act and react. Act is where it is muscle memory. For everything else, there is time.
React.
To react. Act is close to the ground. Engine failure on takeoff roll, there is no. जैसे अभी my present aircraft, it is thrust levers to max reverse, maintain direction, aircraft stops, parking brake, cancel reverse, attention to stations, further actions. So these are act. इसमें you do touch drills also. तो नींद में उठा के करोगे तो, and since I was in the business of flying single engine jets, there is no two engines. There is one engine, and that is the only engine.
That is the only engine.
So when simulators, then it's not about, then because in simulator you know that light आई है, ठीक, ऑयल प्रेशर एकदम ठक करके जीरो नहीं आता. पहले लो प्रेशर होगा, फिर क्वांटिटी कम होगी, फिर एक एम्बर लाइट आएगी, फिर और कम होगा. इनफैक्ट आई वाज फ्लाइंग फॉर माय रूट चेक्स अभी व्हेन आई अपग्रेडेड टू कैप्टन इन द कमर्शियल एयरलाइन. We were flying from Delhi to Jaisalmer.
Okay.
And we witnessed an ejection of the LCA. Not visual, but on RT. The whole situation developing. और मेरा भी रूट चेक चल रहा है, मतलब आई एम फ्लाइंग विद एन एक्स एयरफोर्स इंस्ट्रक्टर, मतलब very demanding from point of view of your manual flying, which is not much outside, but still you should know how to fly a plane. So मेरा फर्स्ट रूट चेक था, मैं भी बड़ा नर्वस, तो मैं अपने काम कर रहा हूँ, पीछे से कॉल आ रही है, वो LC उसका ऑयल प्रेशर लो, तो वो क्लोजेस्ट रनवे उसको गाइड कर रहे हैं. फिर हम लैंड किए, जैसे हम लैंड करें देन उसका इंजन सीज हुआ, वो इजेक्ट किया. फिर लैंड करके मैंने स्टोरी भी डाली थी, उसका धुआं, यू कुड सी द एयरक्राफ्ट इज इजेक्टेड. एंड सो इट there is manifest, it's not like aircraft only when you're close to ground, critical phases you need to be very sharp. And that is why when you asked me, I said that I didn't enjoy the feeling of being in a flight for the longest time, because you're always doing something. And you kept doing something till finally in the MiG-21 once I was in a dicky ride, as in because there's a lot of flights are to do with, all fighter flying is basic two aircraft things. Go in a formation. So sometimes you have an extra trainer, so the instructor or the leader is also taking a trainer, so khali seat hai. So you just sit, because flying hours are hard to make in fighters.
Correct.
So you get some hours also flying, and you are sitting. It's not your profile. You're sitting. तो उसमें फिर मैंने कहा एक बार देख लेते हैं. And then I saw like, wow, yeah, man, this is really fast. But because you are so attuned to practicing and you are just focused on
Correct.
चार चीजें देखनी है मेरे को. Like MiG-21 also ना, it's like kick the tire, light the fire. It's like stop. नहीं क्या था उसका, मतलब I'm forgetting now, कि जैसे आप रीट एंगेज करते हो, the N1 N2 there's a fork, drop, kick, restores, release. I'm forgetting the, so वो आप देखोगे, फिर जैसे आप टेक ऑफ करोगे, लीडर है सामने. And MiG-21 is aircraft is like a rocket. The only time you can pick up your leader is when he disengages his reheat. क्योंकि उस टाइम पे थोड़ा उसका PUC सर्विस नहीं हुआ है, वो थोड़ा धुआं छोड़ता है, थोड़ा काला सा आएगा अगर वो नहीं करा ना. सो बेसिकली फर्स्ट कॉल दैट यू गिव आफ्टर टेकिंग ऑफ इज कोन न्यूट्रल कॉन्टैक्ट. दैट मीन्स द कोन आगे है, दैट्स अ वेरिएबल मूविंग कोन, उसका इंडिकेशन आपने देखा न्यूट्रल, एंड देन कॉन्टैक्ट, सो देन यू आर टुगेदर. सो नॉर्मली कॉल होती है कोन न्यूट्रल नो कॉन्टैक्ट.
अच्छा,
क्योंकि नहीं दिखता उस प्रोफाइल में. द एयरक्राफ्ट इज जस्ट
डॉट टाइप.
If you don't, you have to really work hard to, then you go and RV somewhere over some point, and fuel is always an issue, challenge, because
बट जब आप लोग वो पलटी मारते हो तो हाउ इज द फीलिंग? यू मनूवर ना, लॉट ऑफ मनूवर.
it is a good feeling. मतलब
फाइट मूवीज में देखते हैं ना ऐसे ठाक ठाक ठाक.
नहीं, it is more, it's a very strenuous, मतलब strenuous activity, combat. It is मतलब you can read it in theory, but in the aircraft, because one is it is a myth. Maverick going Mach 5, Mach 10 जा रहा था अभी सेकंड मूवी में. Speed is such a मतलब delusional thing. Speed you only require for egress, for getting out of shit. There's no other way. So you can only shoot down an enemy when you're slowest, because you have to get behind somebody to shoot him. Fast करोगे तो आगे निकल जाओगे ना.
बराबर.
So combat is all about flying the aircraft at its limit boundary at the lower, क्योंकि stall हो जाते हैं जहाज. Aerodynamics है, you need speed. So I need to fly the aircraft slowest so I can get behind the other guy. Or if it's a circling fight, then also I need to turn such that my so just whichever guy has his nose on the other has advantage. So it's all about low speed flying, low speed handling of the plane. How do you understand कि aircraft की limit क्या है? And an aircraft like MiG-21 is a very unforgiving aircraft. Now the aircraft with fly-by-wire is you just pull. Aircraft will decide.
Okay.
उसमें ये नहीं था, उसमें था कि ये किया तो गड़गड़ aircraft stall हो रहा है तो ये कर, जहाँ एक बार हुआ तो straight away energy, you lost energy. So you're always talking in terms of energy. Potential to kinetic, kinetic to potential.
Oh.
So circling भी है तो आप नीचे जाओगे, थोड़ी स्पीड बढ़ाओगे, फिर खींचोगे, अगर स्पीड नहीं है तो खींच नहीं सकते, तो फिर खींच तो टाइट होगा टर्न थोड़ा। तो ये इट्स ऑल अबाउट एनर्जी एंड यू आर ऑलवेज, जैसे खींचोगे जी, तो जी सूट पहना है, जी सूट गिव्स यू अबाउट लीवी ऑफ 1.1 to 1.5 G, that's about it.
Okay.
So then there are other things, you tighten your body, then anti-G straining maneuvers होते हैं, where you know you breathe in a certain way. The whole point is that the body is XYZ, this is X, no, this is what, this is, let's not go with XYZ, this is longitudinal, this is lateral, and this is third one.
Correct.
So blood going from here to here, not a problem. Blood going from here to here, not a problem. Blood going from here to here. So this is the one. This is the G which affects us the most. है ना? तो जब left right में problem नहीं है, आगे पीछे में नहीं है. So vertical maneuvers में all the blood goes down. That is why you call it blackout. And अगर negative G है तो red out, कि पूरा खून ऊपर आ गया. So the whole blood is going down, the brain is not getting blood, and that's how your coning of vision happens, and then you can hardly see. So you tighten your body, and this also inflates so that the blood is. तो वो 1-1.5 G का आपको टॉलरेंस जी सूट देता है. As soon as you pull, एकदम से इधर पाइप लगी है, in the one of the bleeds of the engine, different stages of the engine. It's a gas turbine, so air comes here. As you pull G, the G suit inflates. So you have a blood pouch here and in the legs. So the नीचे से ऊपर. And plus you also especially backseat driving is very like I told you, if you're taking a ride with somebody and he pulls, you don't know how much he's pulling.
Correct.
So सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम तब होती है जब दूसरा पुल कर रहा है. स्पेशली अगर इंस्ट्रक्टर भी ट्रेनी है, उसको बोल दिया ढंग से पुल नहीं करा, वो आंख बंद करके पुल कर देगा. तो so sometimes there's G lock also, like it's G induced loss of consciousness.
Oh.
There's a lot of accidents take place because of G lock, because you don't know how much to pull, and then you are gone, and for that 7 seconds उसने में game खत्म है.
वही.
So that's how CFIT is.
विजुअलाइज करके भी हो रहा है कि अरे बाबा क्या चल रहा है करके.
तो इसलिए वापस आओ ना, तो फाइटर
तो आप लोग
स्क्वाड
जब
में
ट्रेनिंग करते
तो
हैं,
सांस पूरा पसीना बहुत आता है.
तो ट्रेनिंग के टाइम जब
Training
वापस
के
आते हो
time
आप,
आप स्क्वाड्रन
वापस आ गए ये से, तो क्या हाल होता है बॉडी का?
कुछ नहीं, यू फील ड्रेन्ड आउट. ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब इट्स गुड एक्सरसाइज. एंड एक हमारे कॉम्बैट, जैसे हमारे हॉक स्क्वाड में भी व्हेन वी आर इन द कॉम्बैट, नो, बिकॉज हॉक इज अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल एयरक्राफ्ट. लाइक इन द MiG-21, you will not believe it, some of my flight times are 17 minutes.
Oh.
Because that was a guzzler. It used to guzzle a lot of fuel. So आपने रीहीट लगाया, रीहीट बहुत सोच के लगाना पड़ता था. तो कभी कभी ऐसे ट्रेनिंग क्या होता है कि तुम आउट ऑफ पोजीशन हो, तो तुम चीटिंग करके लगा लेते हो थोड़ा सा रीहीट, क्योंकि रीहीट में सीधा रीहीट लगेगा तो जहाज, बट आप रीहीट लगाओगे तो जहाज मतलब होता है देती कितना है, बहुत गंदा देती है. You can see the fuel needle moving. Well, you can actually see the fuel needle moving.
Oh.
इतना fuel consumption. So the flights are very short. You have two situations. क्योंकि अब आप situation करोगे, उसमें रीड करोगे तो तेल जाएगा, तो इसलिए वो बड़ी short situations होती थी. Hawk aircraft is so designed aerodynamically that the copybook maneuvers which I have not flown in the MiG also, that you can replicate. There's something called rolling scissors and turning fight. There's a turning fight and a dog fight. मतलब one is जब सर्कल में जा रहे हैं, दूसरा एक सीजर्स, सीजरिंग. तो सीजर में भी सेम है, जो जिसका नाक पहले दूसरे पे आएगा, वो सीजर दिखने में ऐसा नहीं, वो वर्टिकल भाई, बिकॉज यू वांट टू स्टॉप योर फॉरवर्ड मूवमेंट, इसके पीछे आना है मेरे को. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको आना है, वो भी कर रहा है, तो दोनों कोशिश कर रहे हैं, दोनों ऐसे ऐसे करके, फिर वो रिवर्स कब करना है. सो द राइट टाइम ऑफ रिवर्सल इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. गलत टाइम पे रिवर्स कर दिया तुम उसके सामने आ जाओगे. तो उसके there's geometry involved, there's a lot of maths and geometry involved. और अगर नहीं भी हो रहा है, भागना भी तो कब भागना है, जब ये मेरे को नहीं दिख सकते तो यहाँ से निकल जाऊँ. So then you need speed. So Hawk में it's very beautiful, you can see all this, and it's a long fight. और गलत जगह अटक गए आप, दूसरे बंदे ने खींच दिया तो सर वहीं अटक जाता है फिर. तो हमारे स्क्वाड में वही मैं इसका जोक बनाता था कि आप फाइटर स्क्वाड में जाओगे तो काफी तुम्हें ना वो उसकी मूव की और इसकी स्मेल आई, क्योंकि सब गर्दन आगे आते बंदे से बोला कि हाँ भाई मेहता ऐसे करके टर्न करेगा, मतलब इसकी आज गर्दन अटकी है, बिकॉज़ वो अटकती है तो बहुत बुरी अटकती है.
सर एज अ सिविलियन हम लोग जो बोलते हैं ना, काफ़ी लोग बोलते हैं, हम तो फौज में थे, स्टिल वी ऑल्सो, जब दो ऐसे क्रॉस होता है ना, ये वो, सो हाउ मच डिस्टेंस एंड ऑल, हमारी तो हमेशा फटती रहती है कि अभी ठोकेगा.
You are talking about an air show? or you're talking about training or actual combat?
Actual combat से for that matter.
तो actual combat में तो कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि वो अगला बंदा कोई रूल्स रेगुलेशन के साथ थोड़ी आ रहा है, तो एक्चुअल में तो नहीं है. ट्रेनिंग में है, बिकॉज यू ट्राई एंड डू एवरीथिंग विद इन द realm of safety. So then there's a safety bubble that you're not supposed to violate 500 feet bubble with the other person.
Okay.
Then that is why, like in the Navy, there is about rules of road ships
ROR.
ROR, and you take bearing of the other ship. फिर भी ठुक जाते हैं शिप. 10-10 नॉट पे धीरे धीरे आ रहे हैं और आगे ठुक गए. हम सोचते कैसे हो गया ये, लेकिन वो so similarly in aircraft also there is a whole safety brief. When two aircraft are going together, there's a formation brief which the leader will conduct.
Okay.
So it will start with the basics of what they're going to do, composition क्या है, weather क्या है, profile क्या है, वो करके end में आएगा. So there are rules of combat, and there are some other considerations which is covered, which is again, it is memory item. It is like something which you need to know by rote, and anybody सोते हुए भी अगर आके पूछ लिया rules of combat, guy has to tell कि two aircraft coming together, if you see the other aircraft right in front of you, what you're supposed to do? Both are supposed to turn right. If one is descending, climbing, what they're supposed to do? He's supposed to pull down, he's supposed to pull up. So this is again, अभी मेरे को याद नहीं एकदम पूरा, because थोड़ा सा मैं ग्रे हो गया हूँ, but you are supposed to know verbatim. So when you eventually in the squadron also, as a staff pilot, you become a leader. You're leading a mission. So then lead checks होते हैं. You train a person to become a leader. So he will go with the instructor, and another staff will be his number 2. और ये हरकतें करेगा उल्टी. पहले तो ब्रीफिंग में ही 6 महीने लग जाते हैं ये सब कुछ. To get your briefing, there is no मतलब लीवे की.
No leeway.
इसने इसका द बोल दिया, नहीं, सॉरी आप जाइए आप. तो वो पहले ब्रीफिंग, till the time commanding officer or the flight commander or senior pilot, whoever is looking after your training, he is not satisfied with your briefing, you will not step in the plane for your lead check. Once you are up and you have cleared your briefing, all aspects of how to conduct a briefing, then you will start flying, and then the situations will be given. So this collision के लिए, इस सब के लिए, हर चीज के लिए there is a way about doing it.
Okay.
कि अगर combat कर रहे हो आप, cloud में चले गया दूसरा, तो कब तक कॉम्बैट और ट्रेनिंग आप कर सकते हो? When जो ट्रेनिंग वैल्यू वर्सेस सेफ्टी, कि अब ये हो गया, वेदर ऐसा कुछ हो गया, तो उसके बाद लीडर विल कॉल स्टॉप कॉम्बैट स्टॉप, एवरीबॉडी विल एक्नॉलेज, कॉल आउट द हाइट्स एंड स्पीड्स, एंड देन ही विल पॉइंट आउट ओवर सो एंड सो पॉइंट फॉर आरवी. किसी को कॉन्टैक्ट है तो ही विल पाइप अप. सो देन देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड रीग्रुप. एंड मैं बताऊं विजय, मतलब दिस इज व्हाट आई फॉलो इन personal life also. Combat is not dangerous.
Okay.
Most of the accidents of fighter planes happen in rejoin and regroup.
Oh.
And that is why we say, and like in anything you do, that a job is not done till it is done. जब तक स्विच ऑफ करके जहाज से नहीं निकले, खत्म नहीं हुआ. क्योंकि कॉम्बैट स्पेसिफिकली, दैट इज व्हाट कॉम्बैट हैज टॉट मी, बिकॉज कॉम्बैट इज अ वेरी हाई प्रेशर डिमांडिंग टाइम. देयर इज नो वे दैट झपकी आएगी, सो जाओगे या फिर इधर देखोगे, नहीं. यू आर ऑलवेज ऑन द बॉल. प्रॉब्लम इज जैसे ही वो स्टॉप कॉम्बैट से जब ये सांस लेते हो ना, उसके बाद गड़बड़ी, क्योंकि लगता है खत्म हो गया. सो रीग्रुप में नाउ, बिकॉज द अदर एयरक्राफ्ट उसकी स्पीड, सो रेडार पे तो अभी बीवीआर कॉम्बैट जो बियॉन्ड विजुअल रेंज वाली कॉम्बैट वो अलग है, बट क्लोज कॉम्बैट में ऑब्वियसली यू हैव टू क्लोज इन. सो ही विल कॉल आउट हिज स्पीड एंड हाइट, यू नो योर क्लोजर रेट, बट यू हैव टू नो हाउ फास्ट एम आई कमिंग टू स्टॉप. नहीं तो उसके थ्रू निकल जाओगे, दूसरी कितने जहाज है हवा में. सो ये सब सिचुएशन आप कर रहे हो, बट स्टिल यू आर रिलैक्स नाउ, बिकॉज कॉम्बैट तो खत्म हो गई ना, वापस जा रहे हैं. तो ये वापस जाने के टाइम पे इज व्हेन योर गार्ड्स आर डाउन. That is when maximum accidents happen. Combat में नहीं होता. Combat में और क्या, close formation में भी आप देखो, Blue Angels जिस उनका 18 इंचेस या 18 सेंटीमीटर्स का होता है, that is their tightest. But अगर जहाज फॉर्मेशन में टच भी कर गया, कुछ नहीं, relative motion is nothing. क्रिस क्रॉस में हो सकता है, and but उसमें भी there are, and जो एयर शो में जो हम देखते हैं, that is, you're playing with the camera angle also.
Okay.
Like you are seeing from here. They are not crossing like this. They are crossing like this. So, if you see especially Blue Angels, Surya Kirans also, when they are practicing, there's a whole camera team always there. So, आपको लग रहा है ये वाइन बॉटल फॉर्मेशन है, लेकिन वो एक्चुअल में वो नहीं है. ये बंदा थोड़ा पीछे है, ये थोड़ा आगे है. ही इज केटरिंग फॉर द कैमरा एंगल ताकि आपको वैसे लगे.
Correct.
तो उनके जो हमारे मार्क्स हैं ऑन द एयरक्राफ्ट, यू नो, यू हैव अ रेफरेंस. सो यू नो दैट इसमें मेरे को थोड़ा पीछे रहना है. जैसे लूप में इस बंदे को मालूम है कि ये ही विल ऑलवेज कम हियर. Like in Kirans, we had a team called Sagar Pawan, so I used to be sitting with the pilots. So this guy has to come here, क्योंकि जब ये नीचे का पार्ट शुरू होगा, इसकी एक्सेलरेशन इतना है कि मैं बहुत पीछे रह जाऊंगा. So I ride up, and then so that when you come down, we look normal.
Oh.
So you play with a lot with camera
Lot
angles,
with camera angles.
but still it is demanding for sure. It's not like camera angle है तो कुछ काम नहीं करना. And especially in the head-on cross में तो है ही है. So there is no chance of कि अरे थोड़ा लेट हो गया इसलिए यार सॉरी.
सही बात है सर. So many people
स्वर्ग में मिलेंगे नहीं. So there is definite, especially in crisscross, there is कि you आगे से लगता है सामने है, लेकिन वो एक्चुअली वो इतना गैप है. ज्यादा नहीं, लेकिन काफी.
जब एयरफोर्स पायलट मिलते हैं और नेवी पायलट मिलते हैं तो होता है वो ये कि यार मैं बेटर हूँ तू बेटर है टाइप.
ये होता है एकदम बिल्कुल नहीं.
बिल्कुल नहीं.
कोई है ही नहीं. वो आपस में अभी कोई मजाक में कुछ ऐसे कोई अपना दोस्त है उसको छेड़ने के लिए बोलना है. लाइक आई वाज विद द एयरफोर्स फॉर द लॉन्गेस्ट टाइम. एट वन पॉइंट इन माय करियर आई हैड स्पेंट मोर टाइम विद द एयरफोर्स देन द नेवी, एंड आई वाज वेरी प्राउड ऑफ इट. In fact, I was supposed to perform for the Air Chief's farewell MiG-29 flight yesterday.
I remember. Yeah, so we delayed
which
this.
Got cancelled now. It's on another date. I'm trying to go again. So I still have my Air Warrior card. I'm a very proud airman as well, and I have learned my basics, and that's why I'm a good pilot. And I can proudly say that because of the Air Force, because I was taught by the best. So I have goosebumps and I have great pride in both being a Navy pilot also
and the Air Force
and Air Force and being part of the Air Force.
Generally when they say ना कि
कुछ नहीं ऐसा, कुछ ये तो मोह माया. ये देखो
आपको, लेकिन
ये पहले होता था, पहले लोग कहते थे. और मतलब ये Air Force also had a dedicated maritime squadrons. They had 6 squadron in Pune, Jaguars, and one of the finest planes. अभी आप Air Force में जाओगे तो if you see in fighter pilot community also, it is everybody knows. It's a very harmless joke that Jaguars take off because of the curvature of the earth. Because its power to weight ratio is such that it takes a longer runway. तो वो लंबा जाता है. तो जो एयर डिफेंस वाला पायलट है बोलेगा so you are taking off because the earth is curved, है ना. तो but it's a very stable platform, and generally ये होता था कि कि Air Force pilots have the inhibition to fly over sea. It's not a very natural environment, and I have this part in my second video also in jokingly that Navy you have that whole issue of spatial disorientation. Not only for combat में है ही है. For normal, you see our chopper pilots when they're landing on deck and sea state 3-4 में deck, you're moving platform पे आप land कर रहे हो, और you have to match your frequency with the. There's one Camo which has just blown apart because of resonant frequency. He just resonated with the frequency of the ship. And as you know, being a technical guy, that resonance is nothing. Wavelength. Wavelength match होगी उसके RPM की with the ship की length, half lambda.
Correct.
That's all, nothing else. So small thing. So it's called the fishbowl effect. कि ऊपर blue है, नहीं, नीचे ब्लू है पानी, ऊपर ब्लू है स्काई. सो सब ब्लू है तो पता नहीं चलता कि मैं उल्टा हूँ कि सीधा हूँ. Visual references. But then the aircraft has also now become more advanced. The systems are more advanced.
So how was it for you to land on a ship? Or
on a ship, I have not landed much because on the Sea Harrier I had an accident, like I said, in my conversion.
Okay.
So I shifted back to Kirans, and then when Hawks came, I upgraded to Hawks, but I have not converted onto the MiG-29Ks. I have not myself flown a MiG-29K on the deck. I have taken a ride.
Okay.
With my fellow mates who were in the MiG squadron. They used to come to Vizag, so they took me for a ride. I have landed once.
Okay.
Only once on the carrier in a MiG-29K, and it is a surreal experience. It's a different different ball game altogether. Like, I feel it's even more challenging than a normal deck landing, because we have a way of making things difficult for ourselves. Vikramaditya, like, it's not truly a carrier, it was an amphibious craft, it's been modified. MiG-29K, not the most, petite aircraft, it's a huge aircraft. It was a kind of a first of its kind. It's not in any way comparable with the Fulcrum, the MiG-29s of the Air Force. The systems, everything is new. So it was like a experiment, and we have contributed to that, the operationalization of that plane. There are a lot of hiccups, because now you come to know what works, what the margins of how much you can go wrong are very limited for a MiG-29K pilot landing on VKD. Is what I was wanting to say, that the normal, in a normal course jitna hota hai on a carrier for, say, or USS naval carrier and their F-18s, the margin that our pilot has are much lesser. So you have to be, and you have an LSO, one pilot only. It's a LSO course where you are continuously guiding that guy. And like, if you remember Top Gun, he says Maverick has the ball. है ना? उसके हमारी meat ball was the magazine, flight safety magazine of the Navy. So that ball is basically when you are on profile and you can see the green. So same thing, they also have indications. And it's like close formation. Landing on the deck is like flying close formation. And in close formation, the basic points of engine handling are nil. There is no engine, there is no handling. There is just, you are pumping the throttle. You're pumping the throttle to, you can't कि अरे थोड़ा ऊपर आ गया, थोड़ा ऊपर नहीं, छोड़ना नहीं है, तो उसके लिए पूरे हाथ आपके चल रहे हैं, you just पूरे time चल रहे time you, and like, I think most people would know that when you land on the carrier, you land on the deck with full thrust.
Yeah.
Because if you don't make it and catch any of the wires, then you can you take off. You
take off again.
Only once you've got the. So I have had that one arrested landing. It was a great feeling. Nice. It's
पहले के एक दो ऐसे भी केसेस हैं जहाँ सीधा पानी में भी गया है करके. Long back.
That was the Harrier.
Harriers, yeah. Long back.
So the Admiral used to play golf with us, and we used to wonder how he did it in Goa. Peter Debras, Captain Debras, Admiral Debras, sorry.
Admiral Debras.
So I think he had an engine failure and he ditched in the water. Had the presence of mind to wait for the full carrier to sail above him and then eject. So that is also. But there are a lot of, if you see from US Navy also, the accidents on the carriers, and there's a whole argument that the amount of effort you are, किसको दिखाना, क्या शो ऑफ कर रहे हो तुम, क्यों करना है ये सब कुछ, क्योंकि the energy required to land on a deck is it is one of the hardest things to do a landing on a carrier on a dark night. That is one of the hardest things to do in the world. क्यों करना है, क्योंकि एनर्जी चाहिए फाइट करने के लिए ना, तो टेक ऑफ लैंडिंग में सारी एनर्जी निकल रही है. बट ठीक है, नाउ यू कैन से दैट बिकॉज नाउ वर्ल्ड हैज बिकम अ स्मॉलर प्लेस. You got sat input. You have such machines. अभी तो मतलब there is a whole concept of UCAVs, unarmed combat aerial vehicles.
Correct.
The fighter pilot or even pilots will be redundant. So now you can say that. Then there was the Navy, there was a blue water Navy, there was a brown water Navy. You were going places and you needed the air cover. So it was not, now obviously you can say that, but earlier it was a requirement. A fleet, you need an air cover for everything. In fact, it all starts with the air. And it is, that's how you soften the target. So I have done those missions also, as a training wise. FSC, you used to forward area controller. So the conventional FSC used to be where there are pilots only. You cross the float, the forward line of the troops. You are on the other side. From there, you are guiding your fighters कि target किधर है, बोल के. What they did in Kargil was an upgrade, which was the laser guided bombs.
Correct.
Where you just need to illuminate the target with the laser.
Correct.
So one plane is illuminating or a ground part is illuminating. the bomb is going. पहले लेजर नहीं था, पहले इंसान था. वो इंसान का बच्चा, he had to do things to go cross the line, be on the other side and tell him कि अच्छा इस डायरेक्शन से आ रहा है तो अब पहले यहाँ पे तुम्हें, and it should be like the strike, no GPS, मतलब GPS होते थे लेकिन not system that we have now. कि इधर लेफ्ट में कलवर्ट आएगा, उसके बाद एक बड़ा ट्री, उसके बाद छोटा ट्री, उसके बाद 2 वाइट रूफ घर, उसके पीछे लेफ्ट थोड़ा सा राइट वहां पे, बिकॉज ही इज सीइंग कि उनके ट्रूप्स कहां पहुंचे, इस पे यहाँ पे करना है. एंड इसमें सबसे ज्यादा होते थे एक्सीडेंट्स बिकॉज CFIT, कंट्रोल फ्लाइट इनटू टेरेन. वो बता रहा है, ये देख रहा है, वो देखते देखते नीचे आराम से हल्के, कोई ऐसा कोई पैनिक नहीं है जहाज में, वो देखते देखते सीधा, एंड बिफोर यू नो इट यू क्रैश्ड. CFIT यूज्ड टू बी अ मेजर cause for fatalities in that era. So that was also there.
Good sir. अभी कैसे लग रहा है सर?
बहुत जोश हो गया मेरे को इतनी बातें करके ना, मेरे को लग रहा है कि यार कि काफी टाइम के बारे में.
I can see, मैं फील कर more than me. You are reminiscing पूरा ना.
I was not prepared for this. I thought we'll talk about comedy. So
मजा आ रहा है सर. अभी कैसे लग रहा है सर as a commercial pilot?
Oh, lovely man. I love it.
Is it easy or is it?
Nothing is easy in this world. As you know, Vijay yourself, nothing comes easy. Even this podcast is not easy. है ना, कितने पापड़ बेले हमने.
कितने पापड़ बेले.
So nothing comes easy, but yes, like I said, use lot of colored markers, name it something, and it will become interesting.
But so, when you know, being a fighter pilot, abhi jaise log, when people perceive
you.
No,
I've had that conversation with seniors or some pilots that there's nothing to do, or अच्छा है, हो जाएगा, जो भी है. I have found everything challenging and good fun, and this every day, in fact, every day I get that very pleasant shock that there's so much to learn. There's something new. So just the day you feel कि अरे अब आ गया मेरे को, उस दिन ऐसा कुछ होगा कि ओहो हाँ, ऐसी फीलिंग आती है कि हो.
वीक में 4 दिन you fly?
4 दिन कैसे नहीं, लेट्स वो पूरा वो प्रोफेशनल चीज होगी तो दैट नहीं, बट वी फ्लाई ऑफन एंड आई लुक फॉरवर्ड टू माय फ्लाइंग आल्सो. आई लव इट एंड इट्स अ totally different ball game, yeah. And when I was a fighter pilot, young fighter pilot, not senior one, young, I had a lot of ego. That commercial flying, autopilot, or having fun or enjoying or money, anything, कुछ भी लेके, मतलब ईर्ष्या भी थी, जलन भी थी, और ये भी था कि नहीं, I should get more importance. I am a fighter pilot. Correct. So I have also been on, Air India flights where सबसे पहले, how do you know there's a fighter pilot in the room? He will come and tell you. So that is what we used to do. घुसते ही, I am a pilot from the Navy, or when I was the Air Force, please inform the captain. ऐसी कुछ तो कीड़ा है, कुछ उसको बता दो ना प्लीज. मैं भी हूँ, भाई को भी आता चलाना कुछ, मतलब. And I remember few times the captains called us. This was before 9/11, so then there was no problem. They used to call us in the cockpit. मैं cockpit में घुस के वहाँ पे ऐसे sort of style वो, मतलब no clue, because obviously it's an automated system. There are a lot of switches. It's not like my cockpit at all. And now in retrospect I see that they had that look कि यार ये बच्चा है, ठीक है, इसको let him come sit, son. What do you fly? अच्छा, some are ex Airforce only, तो उन्होंने ज़्यादा दुनिया देखी है. And commercial pilots also, they have some very ugly number of hours. Yeah, the flying experience is not even funny. मतलब, and it is, I won't say, well, I used to say, on camera I'll not say that, but yes, I believe that it is to an extent more or equally challenging. It is we are in Fauji to some extent. We are taken care of in a different way, because yes, training is always on, but then the routine is very predictable. You have a kind of a glorified 9 to 5 job. Maybe 6 to 8 कर लो, जो भी है, चेंज होता है, एक्सरसाइज होती है, कुछ स्पेशल ओकेजन है, कुछ वो आ रही है, इंस्पेक्शन आ रही है, आप थोड़ा सा ओह इंस्पेक्शन आ गई यार, वो इंस्पेक्शन इज नथिंग. यहाँ का मतलब डेली का ही रूटीन ऐसा होता है.
DGCA वाला जो भी,
not DGCA, it's that the nature of operation is such that you have to, and you're on your own. That is why I'm very happy to go to work. I get to meet people. क्या है, अभी स्क्वाड्रन में गया, शिप में हमारे यूनिट्स में क्या होता है, you are साथ में लग रही है, and you're almost such a close community कि अभी निकले हैं नहीं ऑफिस से, स्क्वाश कितने बजे, अच्छा वॉलीबॉल खेलना है, कहाँ है, आज क्या है, अच्छा आज सीओ ने उधर बुलाया है, कोई सोशल गैदरिंग, कोई कमिटमेंट, you are into each other, मतलब you will keep meeting and you are happy about it also, you're not like, you know, यहाँ पे क्या है, you are singleton, you finish your work, you are on your own. So and the roster, everything comes on, everything is automated. In fact, I only applied for one airline and joined that one because that I found closest to Fauji, the ethos and the way, you know, working everything. But highly sophisticated operations, digital in communication, information coming to you, and but the nature of operations कि you have to control your routine. अभी आज रात को वाराणसी बैक किया है, अभी आप 4 बजे आए हो, your legal rest is so much, you are getting this much, but मेरे को तुम 4 दिन दे दो to get back to normalcy. But so you have to. Sometimes you're resting in the morning, sometimes you're resting in the afternoon, sometimes evening, sometimes night, because of a slight change in the schedule, which is always be there, because you cannot have the same flight time for every flight. That is one. Second, मुझे जो सबसे वो challenging, because you have information with you. So now you only you know. There is no कि कल ब्रीफिंग कितने बजे, अच्छा 8 बजे, नहीं, बॉस ने मुझे जल्दी बुलाया, बाकी का 8 है, या फिर कोई व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में आ गया, गाइस टुमारो विल कम लेट कम एट 9, सम कम्युनिकेशन इज हैपनिंग. ये नहीं, सबका अलग है, यू कांट आस्क समबडी कितने बजे जाना है, वो तुम्हें ही जाना है. तो मेरे को तो काफी वो होता है, अभी मैं थोड़ा अभी सीख गया हूँ, जैसे यू हैव अ फ्लाइट एट से 5 o'clock, so reporting is 1 hour before that, 4 o'clock, so I'll get up at 3 o'clock, fine, अपना बना लिया, 3 4 5 3 figures in your head. सडनली कंफ्यूजन हो जाएगा, 4 बजे टेक ऑफ था कि रिपोर्टिंग था, सडनली लाइक 4, मतलब so because now it's only me and myself, I'm talking to myself. Maybe with your family member, that's about it. So you have to be very responsible, so you can't get confused about timings, and because then one whole flight will be affected by it. And yes, the routine is tiring also. Plus, when you have passengers behind, then it's a different equation. I remember my first flight, which was a training flight only. Normally, they're supposed to have a safety pilot, but there are some leeway for military pilots, or with your experience. Sometimes there is there are clauses. And my first flight, so I was so excited, man. I took 180 people, 160 odd people from one place to the other. Such a great feeling. And it's good fun. You have a set of crew with you. You are like a captain of a ship or a plane, and you operate together. You have some challenges, and there's some difficulty also. Plus, I'm a comedian, so I just love to joke around, have fun, and I don't mind talking to passengers.
How did comedy happen, sir?
Comedy happened in a very weird time in my life.
Academy में since you were AC and all, तो फिर तो बहुत कम ही होगा.
नहीं, वहाँ पे हम थे, we were in that Bhand group and drama company and short fillers, all that we used to do. But comedy obviously happened when Russell Peters came on the scene. Suddenly those videos came. I was doing my sea time in Port Blair. So Russell Peters videos, content was very crude, but it was damn funny, man.
Yeah, damn funny.
So उसके बाद फिर Kapil Sharma and the laughter challenge used to come, and we were always great big fans. In fact, some of the biggest comedians that I've shared stage time or opened for may or may not follow me, but Kapil Sharma follows me on social media.
Oh, क्या बात.
Which is quite मतलब humbling, and I'm very proud of it also.
Yeah, obviously.
तो उसकी अलग story highlight डाली है कि my dad was I was in and out of hospitals at that time, January of this year. Suddenly मैंने देखा, मैं कुछ ऐसी कोई होगा name type, फिर मैंने देखा 45 million followers. मैं ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा नहीं हो गया? Stop, check, पहले तो screenshot ले लो.
हाँ,
क्योंकि गलती से हो गया. तो but that's it. So वही देखा हमने. I sent a long message to him. मैं कहा चेक कर लो, मतलब PR टीम है, ये है क्या है. And then he replied also, very humble and nice message. So I think I'm really proud of that.
Very true, sir.
He finds my content interesting. वो देख रहा है, उसकी बेटी देख रही है, बच्चा देख रहा है, कोई भी. It's his account. So and it is still, दिन में 2 बार तो देख ही लेता हूँ. दिन में नहीं, मतलब हफ्ते में 2 बार कि अरे है कि चले गया.
नहीं, आपका जो एक कंटेंट वायरल होके somebody sent it to me couple of months, that's how we connected again. वो नेवी का जो सबसे आर्मी वालों का, हाँ, जिद्दी दाग, वो कैसे आया सर मन में?
वो मैं बता रहा हूँ, मतलब आई फील लाइक किकिंग माय dear co-mates on their bums because when I had that thought, I on our WhatsApp group मैंने उसमें डाला कि यार ये ऐसा जोक मेरे को आया. Some of those days, no, because I am not very active on WhatsApp groups, but तो ऐसा लगता है कि इसका जब मतलब होता तब आता है ये. बट छोड़ना भी नहीं, क्योंकि क्या है, हमारे कोस्मेट अभी एडमिरल बनने वाले हैं.
ओके.
तो फिर यार, तो वही है, कोस्मेट अच्छा कर रहा है तब भी अच्छा है, बुरा कर रहा है तो अच्छा ही है, क्योंकि बुरा कर रहा है तो उसके ही बिकम्स द टॉपिक ऑफ योर डिस्कशंस एंड यू नो रोस्टिंग. अच्छा कर रहा है तो अच्छी बात है, क्योंकि फिर हमारा भी भला होगा.
हमारा कोस्मेट है,
हमारा कोस्मेट है, प्राइड तो है ही है प्लस. सो मैंने डाला, मेरे को ऐसे आया है ये ख्याल, नो, जीरो रिस्पॉन्स. तो फिर भी मैं आई वेंट अहेड, मैंने कहा, और ये काफी दिन से चल रहा था ये, यू नो, मतलब I had the opportunity to open for Amit Tandon once in Nasik, long back to the 19 before the, and then I tried to stay in touch, and उसके बाद फिर से आ रहे थे, वो नहीं हुआ फिर. So you know, Amit Tandon has a lot of name and respect in the comedy world because he's been a pioneer of a lot of things.
Correct.
Like this whole international, if you see some podcasts, Vipul Goyal also says that he opened the doors of the West for Indian comics. How to do it? Because he was from a corporate background also. So there's a very, you know, healthy mix of, because you are a good comedian, but you need a good manager also.
Exactly.
Revenue कहाँ से आ रहा है? So there's planning. So I think that he also had that kind of wisdom to see how to grow and not just कि I'll write jokes and do, but how to showcase oneself, how to sell yourself, and how to, you know, project yourself. And so एक उन्होंने, he was trying a project, so once he asked me कि, you know, I am going to mentor, like it's a reality show, mentor people from the different professional backgrounds into comedy. So you will be that the pilot content, एक डॉक्टर होंगे, कोई इंजीनियर होंगे, वो हुआ. फिर उनका गुड नाइट इंडिया शो आया था, so उसमें भी he was trying to onboard me for 2-3 episodes, didn't materialize, something or the other was happening, we were trying, and I was also not doing too many jokes on Fauji then, because I thought it's, like I've said in my second video, that it's more controversial than religion and politics. Because देश की फौज के बारे में आप कुछ भला बुरा नहीं कह सकते.
बराबर.
तभी जब मेरे को कमेंट्स आते हैं, मैं कहता हूँ यार तू देख तो ले पूरा. और उसमें भी अभी भी है, there's some very, मतलब the worst I feel is when some uniformed person does it and it does it incorrectly. You have a want to, you know, then you message me, talk to me, to put a story on your profile. Exactly. And trying to say something very high profile is not done. So I normally don't reply, but one odd I didn't really appreciate. I said there was a lack of OLQs. This is not how you handle a problem if there's one. But yeah, now in hindsight, some people have very politely told me, like there's a joke where I say my dad wanted to join the Navy, but in his interview, because interview I used to say earlier, but finally he was in 4th term, NYA, not yet allotted. And then battalion commander asked him to draw a merchant ship actually. And वो शिप उन्होंने बनाया, उनको आर्मी मिल गई. तो मैंने जोक बना दिया, मैंने कहा बेस्ड ऑन हिज ड्राइंग ही गॉट आर्मी.
मैंने सुना.
और फिर मैंने वो अच्छा चलता था वही जोक, मैंने पहले अपने शो में 2015 में भी किया था. मैं कहा नहीं, आई नीड मोर टैग्स. तो टैग्स कैसे करूं, तो मैंने उसको परफॉर्मेंस किया उसका, कि यू नो, कि वो क्या कहते हैं, उन्होंने बड़ी शिद्दत से ड्राइंग बनाई. फिर इंटरव्यूइंग ऑफिसर या बटालियन कमांडर ने पहले बड़ी गौर से ड्राइंग देखी, बड़ी खुंदक से उनको देखा और कहा बेटा ये पेन नीचे रखो, वो कोने में राइफल पड़ी है, पहले ट्रक में सीधा बाहर, तुम शहीद होने लायक हो. इस लाइन पे there's been lot of flack ki you are demeaning people who are sacrificed life, or you don't respect your father, ye wo. So I have not really been moved by it, because it's not convincing. It is a joke. It is about his drawing. It's not about shahadat. It is not about what army does. No way. So it's just that it's a punch.
I know.
But yes, sometimes it sounds ki aisa, but you know, पहले अगर my dad only would have told me or somebody would have said, I might have probably cut it also. कि ठीक है, इतनी जरूरत नहीं laughs की, चल जाएगा काम उसके बिना. It was an afterthought. It was not. It is not a must to have line in the whole set.
True.
So comedy ऐसे ही हुआ कि Vizag, I was in Vizag and I watched the show and I thought I can do this better. Like all things start and then I went for some open mics and मुझे लगा बड़ा अच्छा किया. फिर वो लोग कहते हैं कि when you do an open mic you record. वॉइस रिकॉर्डर में रिकॉर्ड कर लो तो सुन सकते हो कि लाफ कैसे और तुम्हारा जोक कैसे. तो मैंने 2-3 किए बिना रिकॉर्डिंग. मैंने कहा यार ये तो क्या है इसमें, तो ऐसे तो मतलब लेफ्ट हैंड से ही हो जाएगा. फिर रिकॉर्ड किया, एक बार आया वापस सुना तो देखा कि ज्यादा ही सन्नाटा सा है कुछ.
अच्छा.
मुझे तो सुनाई दे रही थी कोई, तो पीपल आर स्माइलिंग, मे बी वन नॉट स्माइल, कोई लाफ्टर नहीं थी. तो मैंने कहा ये तो टेड टॉक हो गई एकदम.
टेड टॉक हो गया. तो
सो देन यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन योर क्राफ्ट. देन एक आध बार बेइज्जती होती है. सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी.
आई नो सर, इट्स पेशेंस. मैं जाकिर खान का उस दिन आई वाज हियरिंग हिज इंटरव्यू, सेम थिंग जैसे आपने बोला ना. वो ही वाज टेलिंग कि जब मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम सुना, एक दो बार बोला यार मैं तो इससे बेहतर कर सकता हूँ. फिर उसके बाद जो मेरी लगी मुझे ही पता है करके टिल द टाइम ही इज व्हाट ही इज.
When I joined also I thought I had that thing. I was a true fan of comedy. मैं हम देख मतलब maybe like I can very confidently say that if I have half an hour to kill and you have half an hour to kill, the content will be different. You are into more like my assumption is knowledge based or something to do with अरे इसमें ये कैसे history specifically, because I sometimes I listen to your podcast or watch your podcast. There's a lot of factual information is there. तो मेरे अपनी लाइफ की फैक्ट्स मालूम है, मुझे आगे पीछे के नहीं मालूम. बट कॉमेडी यस, एनी फॉर्म ऑफ थिंग व्हिच इज फनी I would watch. Russell Peters was there, then Kapil Sharma, and the laughter challenge, and people normally, when the new contemporary way of stand-up comedy came, there was like people used to, I won't say look down upon, but कि नहीं वो नहीं थी ये है. वैसे तो वही था, बकरा किश्तों पे आता था, उमेश शरीफ था,
किश्तों पे,
and one single person 1.5 घंटा कुछ कर रहा है. तो
जॉनी लीवर फॉर दैट मैटर, वंस अपॉन अ टाइम.
वंस क्या अभी भी मतलब
ही वाज द ट्रेंड सेटर. जेमी अभी जो
एंड देन राजू श्रीवास्तव. सो मतलब लेजेंडरी. सो मतलब वो सब कुछ देख के फिर
So you plan to continue, sir? You enjoy and plan to continue?
हाँ मतलब yes, because अभी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ वो फ्रेम ऑफ माइंड में हूँ मैं. पहले काफी अनडिसाइडेड से थे, कर भी रहे थे नहीं भी थे. फौज में था तो there were restrictions were there, but still I was getting decent amount of limelight without any following. Like I was world famous in Vizag. क्योंकि हमारा महीने एक शो होता था पार्क में, वहाँ पे बिलबोर्ड होता था.
पता है सर, पार्क वाला
तो और काफी, बट और कुछ हो नहीं रहा था उसमें. 5-5 मिनट करते थे and you are more into production. In small places where there is open mic करना है तो खुद ही organize करो. Like bigger cities there are enough rooms to go to.
Correct.
So I did a lot of production there in Vizag. When I left Navy and Vizag, then I said no production, because production is a very it is addictive and it is false kind of security. क्या है, अभी सारे बड़े कॉमिक्स के मैनेजर आपको कॉल करेंगे, उनको एक शो कराना है, तो तुम्हें लगता है इम्पोर्टेंट, मैं यार आई एम गोइंग टू, देन यू विल गेट योर 5 minutes ऑफ ग्लैमर एंड फेम बिकॉज यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग द शो, सो यू विल ओपन फॉर हिम. तो आप उतनी मेहनत ही करोगे. आप अपना 1 घंटा नहीं बनाओगे आप वो, क्योंकि प्लस यू आर सिटिंग एंड यू आर मीटिंग ऑल द कॉमिक्स, सो यू हैव I won't say networking, but it's a nice feeling. Well, I like it. I always used to have fan moments with big comics, and Vizag का तो special package था. कि आप Vizag आओगे, आपको एयरपोर्ट से सीधा पहले एयरबेस लेके जाएंगे, पहले जहाज दिखाएंगे, खाना खिलाएंगे स्क्वाड्रन में. So many comics from one of those अपने यार ये मेरे को नाम ना नितिन, he is known as. तो ये पैकेज होता था कि स्क्वाड्रन, सो लॉट ऑफ कॉमिक्स वर इंटरेस्टेड, सो द यंग वंस because they play a lot of video games also.
Correct.
So they like one out to like Sapan Verma was like, you fly this and you want to do comedy. So it was like
like क्या ही कर रहा है,
मतलब this is, you just leave me here, and he's so happy to see like boys and their toys. So ठीक है, this was my job, so I was doing it, but I love to consume comedy, so I thought I can be I might be good on stage, and it was a struggle. It was like from 2015 slowly something. You knew that you'd never go on YouTube. You're in Fauj. अपना ही थोड़ा सा करना है. And then slowly I got spots. Then I got little bit of attention. Then Navy also acknowledged. I did a couple of shows in the Navy as well. And by the time I was leaving Navy, I had a decent, as in decent material, all half baked. Because क्या है, महीने में एक शो होता है 5 मिनट, ओपन माइक कुछ ज़्यादा होते नहीं, तो हर महीने में 5 मिनट, so 5 मिनट्स बन रहे थे, because that was a requirement.
Correct.
But then eventually after I left the Navy, फिर भी मैंने थोड़ा बहुत किया, मोटा मोटा आगे पीछे, मतलब there was recognition, I knew a lot of people, but I've never been good in networking, you know, to take it forward. Finally, you have to sit and write jokes. That is brass tacks is write jokes first, have material, go for mics. And Pune also, like we were flying also, but I had enough time. I would go for some mics here and there, थोड़ा बहुत. फिर I tried to record videos कि चलो ये है मेरे पास material. And as soon as you say it aloud, no, that I will record a video, suddenly whatever you have sound seems to be unfunny.
Unfunny.
यार ये तो मैं 2 बार laugh club in Chandigarh I went. पहली बार तो मतलब first of all you don't have any name, nobody will come. So somebody else, तेरा audience में लोग कम हैं. So 2 बार रिकॉर्ड किया, मज़ा नहीं आया, मतलब नॉट वर्थ कि इसमें और थोड़ी. सेकंड वाले में ऑडियंस अच्छी थी, कुछ थे मतलब फौजी लोग भी थे, तो रिस्पांस बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन मेरा डिलीवरी नहीं. तो करके फिर देन हैबिटेट आल्सो इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट सॉट आफ्टर रूम्स टू रिकॉर्ड. एंड ऐसे मतलब सीधा आपको चल के नहीं मिलता है, यू नीड टू हैव सम क्रेडिबिलिटी. सो Amit Tandon had a workshop for 40 plus. In fact, they have a kind of this whole project कि 40-45. तो उस वर्कशॉप में रजिस्टर किया. हमारा पहले से था ये, तो मैंने कहा it's always good to learn some new aspect of joke making. So we went there, वहाँ open mic हुआ, उनके उसी का पैकेज का था. And I was flying. I was doing some pattern. I was in Chennai. और ये 9 बजे का कुछ था ये. तो मेरी फ्लाइट कोई 4 बजे ख़त्म हुई. फिर मैं वहाँ से ACM ट्रैवल करके बॉम्बे गया, वो अपना स्पॉट किया 5 मिनट, और 11 बजे वाली फ्लाइट से वापस. फिर क्योंकि 3 दिन का पैटर्न था, वो ब्रेक नहीं कर सकते, तो उन्होंने उसके पे भी जोक मारा उन्होंने जब मेरे को इनवाइट भी किया. तो देन द हैबिटेट में जो द पीपल हु रन इट, बलराज being the owner and the people this, so you need to have some credibility when you are recording, because the background and that room has some value.
Correct.
So I was able to earn, I want a spot for recording. So then I got some kind of clearance कि yes, आ जाओ डेट शीट करके. फिर मैंने पहला वीडियो वैसे रिकॉर्ड किया. It was the comedy roulette, which is a very they have a very good culture of comedy. This audience, like I am nameless, but there will be 3-4 big comics who are there in the lineup. So the crowds will come, and बीच में कोई ये बाहर के हम आउट स्टेशन वाले 1-2 हमें स्पॉट मिलेगा. So we get to record. And then second one was a lineup show. So अभी थोड़ा समझ में आ गया. So now I was waiting to shift to the left seat as a captain, because as a first officer the contract was such 22 days leave वाला contract. Now I have a better contract where I have more days off. And now so then अभी मैंने plan करके ये off late after I upgraded as a captain, put a पहला वीडियो अच्छा चल गया, people are wanting more, so I put something together and did 1 hour of kind of a, I wouldn't say special, but 1 hour about Fauji life episode, second edition, and I did 10 shows in 8 cities, and काफी उसमें से रिकॉर्ड किया, तो उसका भी उसमें से भी कंटेंट आएगा.
बढ़िया.
So now it has created some kind of, there is some progress. Aim, like you asked, my aim is to be validated and recognized as a respectable comedian, but not go so viral that I have to compromise with my personal life. So वो, like my wife is a very humble, grounding, अर्थिंग करा के रखती हैं कि इतना काफी है, इतने से चलेगा, इतना. So that's why we are very conscious on social media also.
Yes, yes.
What you can put, what you can't
What
put.
you can't. Very true,
So,
sir.
matlab, especially from point of view of my daughter and all, ki, exposure has to be very controlled. बाकी मैं तो हूँ ही मैं गालियाँ खाता हूँ ये क्यों मैं आई एम वेरी टेम्परामेंटल आई एम नॉट गोइंग बाय फिगर्स इफ आई एम हैप्पी आई पुट स्टफ if I'm not, I don't, and so be it. Like people say, no, if people only show their happy side. Yes, it's not about showing my happy side. When I'm in a good mood, then you will see a lot of stories coming in.
Correct.
If I'm with work, and if I'm having a very, very good time, then also there'll be nothing. Because then I'm really having a good time. There's no time for, putting stuff. So.
बढ़िया, sir.
That's it.
So good, sir. So probably, इच्छा पूरी हो गई मेरी भी कि आपसे बात करें और आपको
you so kind. You so after that first video only, I remember you connecting and it was so nice. And
pleasure, sir.
It rarely happens with me.
And
that somebody with 5 times my followers.
नहीं sir, nothing, sir.
No, it is a compliment for you because to be grounded or humble, because this is it's a very social media thing. I'm senior by so many followers. People have that thing of I will like but I will not follow because
नहीं sir, हमारा तो फौज वाला कनेक्शन. But it's very good to see two different side of a person, a fighter pilot. वो हम लोग देखते हैं ना, zoom कर रहा है, and then a comedy side of you, a humor, which is there.
That's why I want to focus on that, but I get a lot of comments for SSB and all. So मैं कहा ठीक है, अपने personal experience I can share, but
correct.
Because I don't comment on it, I don't encourage it. Why? Because it requires personal experience. मैं बता सकता हूँ, but what's the trend? What's happening? That Colonel Nehru can only tell you.
Correct.
Because he's up to date. He's studying the system. If I'll have to work a lot to give you good guidance. That's why civil aviation, especially, people are like, ये करा लूँ, LASIK surgery. मैं कहा अभी तो एक डॉक है यहाँ पे, मैंने अभी उनको कनेक्ट कर दिया है. Sir, आप any doubts? Because I will need to first have the correct. I will not like to give wrong information.
Very true.
So I try and avoid giving any advice. But yes, let's see.
So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
For पुरानी सारी destroyer squadron, speaking about frigate.
After such a kind of an interaction, you feel there is lots more.
Exactly.
I remember this very young comic. I don't know where he went to the US. Sham. He was looking after the group that I joined, and I'll not take its name because that's another story in its own right.
Correct.
But youngster, college, doing graduation, second year engineering, third year engineering, and he said, "How old are you?" And I still remember that I was around 40 then. So you're like, wow, that means you have a lot of content. Because you lived 40 years, that means you have that much content.
Exactly.
मैं तो भी 18 साल का हूँ, तो मेरे तो इतने experiences हैं ना. आपने तो सब कुछ कर लिया.
सही बात है.
तो मैं भी बड़ा खुश हो गया. I got a lot of content, but finally, how much am I, willing to share is also.
Exactly.
So I want to be discreet. I don't want to be. That's why they say, the best comics are the ones who are honest and they're just talking about their life.
Correct.
मैं अगर ऐसे करूँगा तो पहले तो बीवी छोड़ के जाएगी, फिर घर वाले छित्तर मारेंगे. Because obviously everything is not hunky dory, na. There will be some. If you have to be upright, honest, then there will be things which family would not want me to share. ये क्यों बोल रहा है, ऐसा क्यों बोल दिया तूने, ये क्यों कर दिया. तो मैं कहूँ best to be a okay comic.
So Jai Hind everyone, thank you so much for watching this podcast. Amazing podcast. First time a naval fighter pilot. And subscribe कीजिए channel Fauji Talks and please follow sir both on Instagram and YouTube. Many more will come. So Jai Hind. Thank you sir. Thank you so much.